Aloha and welcome back to Diary of an Authentic Life. Wow, it has been a crazy 6 months. It's been amazing, and I can't wait to share it all with you. But first, I was on the Student of Wealth Radio Hour. It's a local radio show here. That I really enjoyed the conversation. It was a couple months ago, but I wanted to share it with you here. Keep in mind, I do go, personally in my own messaging, there's a lot of religious deconstruction. And in this conversation, there's maybe some words or context that I don't use, but are still completely valid to a lot of people. So just because maybe the wording could be a little triggering or bringing back things that you don't no longer believe in, I invite you to be open to the message in general. And I feel like this is a great way to understand that we can all carry our own beliefs and there's synchronicity in those beliefs, even if we use different words. So I just really hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did, and I will share it with you, and as well as all the information for how to reach out to Aviella if you're interested in learning more from her. It's all going to be in the description below. Enjoy.
Welcome, 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 Maui. Happy Thursday. In the studio today, we have Miss Melissa. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I'm super thrilled that you showed up today. Melissa, can you tell us about who you are?
Well, I believe that all of us at the core are just a part of the divine. Like we're a part of the fabric that creates all that is, which is such a beautiful honor. And just like you were saying in the introduction, we are all born with this spark, with this gift, with our own piece of divinity. And so much of our lives is spent piling all the expectations and beliefs on top of that. And at the core, we are all that light. But Melissa
Yes.
has, I've been someone who has just been creating my life from a place of authenticity. I tried being what the world told me I was supposed to be, and it just never worked. I could never feel settled. I could never, even if I would find success, it wasn't me, and I couldn't settle for anything less than what was real. So I did a lot of internal work. I'm still always doing the work to uncover who I really am. And that is someone who believes in community, who believes in right relationship with everything around me, that when I'm living from a space of my authentic self, then my natural gifts and talents and intuitive abilities just come to the surface and they get to play and be expressed in the world. So I can't say who I am definitively because it's always changing and expanding and growing, but I am a person who is committed to showing up authentically in a way that shines my own light and illuminates the light in others so that they can see their own light and do the same for themselves.
I love that. Well, welcome to the show, Melissa. It's so great to have you. I'm excited to tap into the intuitive energy and kind of uncover and discover what that is and how that shows up in your work. Now, Melissa, when you say intuitive worker, what, for our listeners, give us an idea of what intuitives do, or what does that mean exactly?
Well, I believe that we're all born with, there's different types of intuition. There's a somatic intuition, which is something that we all have. When you get the hairs that stand up on the back of your neck, letting you know that something's going to happen, that's your skin. It's like talking to you. Your skin is like an alarm system that lets you know when things are coming.
And that's called somatic.
It's your somatic intuition. Well, all of these that I'm talking about now are the somatic intuition.
Okay.
Then there's like your gut intuition, right? When you get that gut feeling about something. And that's usually like a warning that's letting us know about something that we need to pay attention to. That's just bringing our attention to it. And then we all have our heart resonance because we all have an electromagnetic field that comes from our heart that interacts with each other. So our heart will let us know if something is dissonant or resonant. So if it's, resonant with us, then that's, yes, lean into that.
Yes.
If it's dissonant, then it's like, no, this isn't for me. And we all have that. We all have the somatic intuition.
So when you say resonant, that's like the root word resonate, meaning kind of we're aligned with it, or it is well with us. It's something that we agree with, or
it's a complementary vibration.
Great.
Yes, absolutely.
And so dissonance would be the opposite of that.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a conflict of some sort.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Exactly. Thank you for clarifying that. And then we have our transpersonal intuition, and that can show up in a lot of different ways, through mediumship, through the clairs, which is like clairvoyance, the ability to have visions or to see into things that are happening or into the future. There's clairtangence, like to be able to touch something and get information from it, or sometimes you can feel something, like you can feel somebody walk by, or feel, I felt hugs from my grandmother who's passed on before, and that's a clairtangence. There's the clairaudience, which is when you hear things, sometimes in an actual audible voice, sometimes just through your mind's voice, that still small voice,
yes,
right?
Yes.
That likes to whisper to us. And there's clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairtangence, and clairsentience, which is an emotional feeling. Like I can, being very empathic, I can pick up on other people's feelings and emotions that are coming through, like just by being in a space with them. But also I get emotional feelings from other guides, spirits, things that are around us that are just kind of sending messages. So there's a lot of different ways to experience
the clairs, we call that. So I love that because my experience with these things, I've often heard it said for people who have a relationship, with God, with spirit, with source, oftentimes they describe having conversations and asking for things, and they ask for signs of confirmation for something. And sometimes it comes through a person who says something. Faith comes by hearing. Sometimes, even in my experience, like when grieving and stuff, when you reach up, and you ask for, there's a word, hallelujah. You can say that, repeat that, reach up, and you start to feel the spirit, the energy, of the creator, of God. Or listening, sometimes, I often like to say, I ask God to present things to me in a way that I recognize. And so the clairs are recognition channels that allow us to interpret what nature or the environment or spirit is trying to communicate. Is that a fair understanding?
That's an amazing way to explain it. Absolutely. And I love that you brought nature into that, because for me, being in nature has been one of the biggest catalysts of sharpening my intuition and my gifts. And, nature really does speak to us. And I've had conversations with trees. I know how it sounds, but it's a very real experience. And one that I like to talk about is when I moved to this place where I'm at in KAKU, it's very nature surrounded. Every window you look out, you see trees, you can hear the river running down below. And things really started to kick into high gear with my intuition when I moved into this space. And I know it's because I started talking to the trees around me and talking to the bees, and all of the things that were around me. I really started feeling that deep connection and that oneness, that unity between us, that we all have this source, this life force in us. And one day I was making like nature art with my neighbor's daughter, and I got a little impatient. I was cutting limbs off of a tree, and I got a little impatient. I grabbed a handful, and I was about to cut a bunch at once, and I just heard so clearly this no, and I was like, oh, and so I let it go, and I looked, and the one place I had grabbed were like the first blooms of the season on that tree. It was the only place on the tree where there were blooms, and I was being very much in my humanness, and being impatient, wanted to just cut through that, but the tree made it clear, no, you can take my limbs, but not those. And nature does talk to us in that way.
Sure.
There was an experience that an anthropologist had with an Aboriginal community, and
native to Australia.
Yes, and they were talking about, they couldn't understand how we don't hear the stars, and how do you not hear that? And so we are always receiving messages, and the more that we tune into those, and for me, that has happened mostly by just aligning with my authentic self, because it is a part of our authentic expression to have this communication. The louder it gets, the easier it gets to understand. And it's a big leap of faith, just trusting that what you know, and that you can say it out loud, and you'll be supported in doing that.
So I really love that, because couple things. You mentioned the Aboriginal community, and I just went to Australia last month, and so there is a noticeable difference in energy when you're outside, out in nature. There may be buildings and stuff, there's that version, and then there's getting out where there's more just trees and water and all these things. But I see nature as a rhythm. It's music, and things like talking to trees, in my business as a craft fair vendor, I built that business under the banyan tree in Lahaina. So when you say you talk to trees, every morning before we would sell, I would go up to the tree, inhale, exhale, ground myself, put my hand on one of the trunks of the trees and or the aerial roots, because the banyan tree has the aerial roots that come down, and ask for a blessing and give gratitude for allowing me to be there to share one of my gifts. I'm creative. I love to make things, and the things that I make are solutions for different people that solve pain points, whether it's like a look good, smell good, feel good solution. So the music, by me doing that, to me, it was like I'm harmonizing with the rhythm of the area, the space, coming into alignment with it, and offering my authentic self as a tribute to the blessing of just being there.
That's
just
really beautiful.
Being there. And in haiku, I've been there a couple of times. You're so right. I mean, now I was scared because first time I went there, it was nighttime and there were no street lights or anything, so that's different. But what I love is there's animals, the fresh air, especially when the sun is rising, or different times of day. When you speak about intuition, and even how you receive wisdom, can you hear any of your ancestors?
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
I've received visions from my ancestors. I practice a form of breath work that it's really powerful in connecting us with our spirit guides. For those of you who don't know, our spirit guides are a combination of guides. There's, our angels, if that's the word that you choose to identify them as. There's our ancestors. There's our loved ones who have passed on and on the other side. And there's also like the elementals, the spirits of like the elements and the plants and the animals and all that's around us. So there's our spirit guides it's a combination. It's not just like one specific thing. But our ancestors are definitely part of that spirit team. And when I do the breath work, it gets me into an even deeper connection with that. And my ancestors have guided me through memories. I've literally processed and felt emotions that weren't able to be felt in my lineage. I'm of a Native American lineage in Cherokee.
I love that. My grandmother was too.
Oh, I love that. Awesome. And so there's a lot that was never able to be felt and processed. And I think that being a vessel, like you spoke to earlier in your introduction, has provided an opportunity, me being able and being willing to face the hard things and to feel the feelings and not to just bypass and be in this world of like spirituality where everything's beautiful and it is all beautiful, but there's also the shadow, and being able to walk through those shadows. My ancestors have given me a gift, which has been, it doesn't always feel like a gift because it can be difficult, but have given me the gift of being able to process things through my lineage, and they'll speak to me in dreams and visions.
So are you, just to make sure I picked up your earlier teaching, are you describing a clairaudience connection? Is that
sometimes clairaudience? Sometimes it's visual, sometimes it's sentient, and it's in a feeling. It comes in different ways. Some people have like a stronger clair, one or two clairs, like a variety of them. I have all of the clairs, so I get spoken to in all the different ways. And most, I think, with my ancestors, it's most been through audience and vision.
So with the type of work that you do, Melissa, and how you serve, what does that experience look like for someone that's coming in contact with you that's do we come and sit with you? How do we come into the world of your work? And once we do, what happens next?
Well, it's not a cookie cutter experience. Everything I try to really just tap into. I do tap into my own intuition, to the other person's guides. Other people's guides will speak to me as well. And kind of cater what I do to what the session calls for. If a person feels more comfortable sitting face to face and talking, we'll do that. If a person feels more comfortable, like I really like to meet somewhere outside and be in nature, because that does bring an extra layer of connection, but also like gets them into the subconscious to where they can really the deeper stuff can come to the surface in conversation. But I'm a big fan of human design, and in my human design, I'm a generator, which means that I have a sacral response. So I feel everything in the sacral part of my body. I get yeses and nos. I get very clear instruction on what to do, but I'm a responder. So if someone asks me, then it just comes out naturally. Like I just open myself and allow whatever the messages are to come out, and it can come from a combination. I think one thing it's important to understand with intuition, because some people, there's always a common thread in the messages that come through, but they can be interpreted differently, and that's because we're all interpreting through our own lens of experience.
Sure.
Through the context that we have to apply things to.
Yes.
So when this guidance comes through, it can be from their spirit guides, it can be from my own lived experience, my own, things that pattern recognition from my own guides. It could be from something, the trees could be talking to us. I don't try to get very specific, although I can if I try to say who this is, and if it's grandparent or whatever, that does come through sometimes when people need that kind of confirmation. But I get less caught up in those details and more just try to focus on the message and let the message come through freely without trying to attach too much meaning to it. Just let it be shown. And so that could show up in a lot of different ways. A lot of times it's conversation. Sometimes I'm guided to lead people through visualization practices or hypnotherapy that gets them into I really all about I don't give people their answers. I lead them to themselves so that they can feel and find their own answers, so that they're not dependent on me. And that's what my work is about, is showing that we all have these gifts. We all have this intuition that we can tap into that will guide us to live our life in the most authentic way that we can. And the more authentically we're living, the more everything your levels of wealth, the
7
more,
dimensions.
the 7 dimensions of wealth, the more we're living in that authentic self, the more it just starts to align us with all of these dimensions of wealth, with the spiritual, with the financial, with the physical, with all of it. And so my work is about connecting people to their own authentic self. And I also do facilitate the breath work. So sometimes that's what's involved, is doing a breath work session, and we'll do some conversation beforehand, do the breath work session, and then kind of unpack and process afterwards. It really just depends on what the person needs. But I'm there to be open to whatever source has that just leads people back to their own divine wisdom.
Divine wisdom. I love that. And I kind of want to unpack something that, since you mentioned the 7 dimensions of wealth, which we know are spiritual wealth, mental wealth, emotional wealth, relational wealth, there's experiential wealth, physical wealth. These are all things that in a perfect world we have perfectly aligned. But most people, when they hear the word wealth, they think of money, or they think of financial contribution or accomplishment. But I would submit, what if your money grows, but your spirit shrinks?
Right.
Or what if your influence grows, that relational wealth, but your health collapses? Or what if knowledge grows? That's experiential wealth. You're learning all these things. One of my favorite things, I love lifelong learning. But what if that grows, but your relationships fall apart?
Right.
When you hear the word wealth, what does that mean to you?
It means alignment with all of those things. because I feel like so much of the spiritual and mentoring community is about living from the outside in. If you do these things, you'll get this result. And I believe that when we find alignment with our authentic self, with who our soul chose to be in this lifetime, who we came here to be, I don't believe that we have a purpose in life that we're obligated to.
Sure.
I believe that our soul chose what it wanted to experience and will bring things to itself to be able to experience those things. But we have free will and we get to choose what we do with that. However, I have found that the more I am just in line with what my soul wants, the more I put aside the ego and the pressures and other people's expectations and the masks, and really just listen to my soul, like you and your creativity, like letting your creative self be expressed. The more I align with that, the more it happens from the inside out. The more the money just loves to find me and chase me down and give itself to me.
Yeah.
Like
right.
The more the relationships in my life, when I leave an interaction with someone, I feel fulfilled. I'm overflowing. It's no more like I feel drained because I don't being in my authentic self, that's the thing. There's all these things that are meant for us that want to find us. But when we're pretending to be something that we're not, they can't.
Yes.
But when we let our authentic self shine, it's like, there she is. And it just comes right to you. And then all those things just kind of fall into place. And to me, that's wealth. When, I've done a lot. I've done a lot in my life, and I've had a lot of experiences, and I'm proud of them, and I've had a lot of fun. But to me, the greatest honor of my life is knowing who I am and becoming who I really am. Okay. And that's wealth to me.
I love that. I love that, because in the beginning, when you introduced yourself, you were describing conformity at a moment of how society wants you to sort of abide by who they want you to be, what they want you to do, how they want you to show up. As a creative myself, that's often difficult, because I like to laugh and say, for the most part, I don't subscribe to groupthink. Yes. Right? I'm an independent thinker. It's highly likely that if 3 people are doing one thing or going to one direction, unless these people represent something that I want to become or something I want, I'm more 9 times out of 10, if they're going that way, I'm not going to go in a beeline right behind them. But another thing that comes to mind with what you were just describing is stewardship. You mentioned soul and not necessarily having one specific purpose, but with all these 7 dimensions of wealth that we mentioned here at Student Wealth, we're big on stewardship. Like, how well do you take care of things, right?
Right.
In my mind, I'm hearing what you've done for the least of things, these you've also done for me. In any scenario, like, are you honoring your gifts? If there was a universal purpose or principle, it may be that we show up and be willing to serve others with the gifts that we've been given, whether these are innate gifts, learned gifts, or supernatural gifts, right? Showing up and serving. How do you serve? Like, how are you stewarding that? If it's money, how you said, I'm not concentrating on the money. I'm concentrating, this is not what you said, but I'm concentrating on how to add value. Right. I'm concentrating on, as a business owner, I'm concentrating on how to provide solutions to pain points. In this way, I'm making things better with what I have, and just having faith and having confidence that I'm enough. Right now, if something happened here, if we're in this moment right now and we needed to get out of a pickle, whatever that was, I'm confident that between the two of us, we have everything we need. And when we bring in the assistance of our angels that you mentioned, or our clairs, or our ancestors, they're there to support us. Right?
Yes.
And so that alignment you talked about, with all these different dimensions and just listening. And I think you said, oh my gosh, how did you say that? Now it escapes me. But you were saying present yourself, basically authentically, show up as you are, listen to your helpmates,
Yes.
in the unseen, in nature, wherever it's coming from, and share that with others. Because the experiences with you are allowing yourself to be a vessel to receive and transfer knowledge, feeling, whatever comes to you. Is that accurate?
Yes, and I love that you mentioned stewardship in that, because that is one thing I've learned, that in alignment with our own authentic self, that is a byproduct, that is natural, that we care for each other, that we care for this earth that we are so blessed to be a part of, that we care for the energies around us and in all of the different aspects of our external world, because that is, our authentic self is our light. It's our part that is our own portion, right? Our own portion of source, our own portion of the divine. And of course that's going to be in alignment with what is best for the highest good.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's just a natural. And that's what I love to say. It's like, focus on listening to your soul, listening to your guides, stripping away what is not you, and allowing that to come to the surface without shame, without guilt, without control, and just allowing yourself to be fully you. And the byproduct of that is that you are serving, is that you are making an impact, is that you are creating a wealthy life on all these different levels. The stewardship is a part of it. Like, that is a part. When if we're creating wealth that is degrading the earth, that is degrading other people, that's not in alignment with our soul. That is not in alignment with our higher self. And like you said, you may be able to create that wealth, but there's going to be other areas of your life that are lacking as a result of it. And that's what happens to so many people, is they follow the line of success and they get to what they think is the top, and they get there and there's no fulfillment. Yeah. There's no peace. Like, the real wealth is peace.
Yes.
Is to be at peace with how you're living your life. And just like the plants, like a tree grows and creates fruit, and that fruit isn't for itself. It's in its full self-expression.
Yes.
And it creates fruit for others to enjoy.
Yes.
The flowers create fragrance for others to enjoy. That's our natural. When we're in our natural expression, it becomes of service to those around us.
That's right. Medicine, speaking of plants, there's so many, herbs, all these things. These are things that feed us and optimize us so that we can present in our best self.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's difficult to share when you're not feeling balanced, whatever that is. Whether it's this is up, this is down, but when you have balance, it does generate a sort of peace of mind. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because one lesson that I learned, have you ever saw something or been in a situation where you may have been inspired to compare yourself and where you are right now to what it looks like somebody else has? Like, oh, I'm here in this group and these people have more money than me, or I go to the gym and all these people's bodies look different than mine, and somehow in your mind you're reducing what you do have, instead of tapping into the gratitude and understanding that your walk is unique to you. Your core values are different. What creates peace of mind is alignment with your core values and the way that you want to serve, some type of contribution to the community. As far as how you contribute to the community, can you share some of the things that you have done? Because a lot of times in those spaces, if you're not careful, you can put yourself in a situation where you start either blocking blessings or take yourself out of alignment simply because you think somebody has something that you want. The grass is greener on the other side, and you start walking over there and you're walking away from all of this abundance that you enjoy.
Right.
And people, it's not, a lot of times we don't necessarily stay mindful of that, as a craft fair vendor. A lot of people look down like, that's not a real business. But for those of us who are involved, we know what it does.
Right.
There's no need for me to compare what I do to, say, a lawyer or a politician. If the bar is set by how much money you make, that's one dimension. But how much time do you have to spend with your kids or your best friend? Or your husband, or traveling, or whatever it is you want to do. How healthy are you? Are you able to cook balanced meals, or do you just have to eat on the go? And how does that affect your body in the right now, long term? Are you bogged down all the time as a creative, and where you can express yourself the way you want to because you are being controlled by what other people think, or that conformity in this environment, corporate, or whatever it is? So when you show up in the community, give us an example of how you show up balanced, because I'm across from you now. I can feel the balance, the peace in between us. And because I also have it, I feel like we're synergized. Right?
Yeah.
And some people don't know that. So on this particular topic, what are your thoughts on that, and how do you contribute to the community where you don't worry about that? Or do you have these challenges sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, from my experience, you don't just find alignment and then you're there. Yeah. It's a constant. Life is always changing. There's always new elements and new people and new energies that we're adjusting to. But it's like a muscle. The more that you are living in that authentic self, the easier it is to find your way back to it. And when you get used to using those muscles of, oh wait, this doesn't feel right. Oh wait, there's something in my body that doesn't feel right. Oh wait, I left that interaction and I feel really exhausted. Or I'm feeling like this weird sensation in my body being in this place right now. All of those are signals and signs, and the more you listen to them, the easier it becomes to listen to them, and the more you find your way back to that self, the clearer the path becomes the next time. And then it just becomes the norm, to where instead of finding alignment is the standard, and you can get out of alignment, but you feel it so deeply. For me, I feel it so deeply when something's out of alignment. It's no longer an option. Yeah. It will make me physically ill to do something that's not in alignment. So true. It's just not, it's not worth the cost. And, I've been in the social situations. I have fit in, and I have been successful in all of those conventional ways, and it doesn't stick. The pleasure that is experienced from that is very short-lived, and it's very difficult to maintain because you're sacrificing so much. Yeah, you're sacrificing so much, and what our soul has for us is so much greater than anything that we can imagine. And this one thing I love about human design, and why I bring it often into my practice, is that it really showed me that we all have our own way of being, and they're all important, and there isn't a hierarchy. Yep. One's not more important than the other one. They're all needed. What good is it to have all the money if there's not beautiful art to buy, or beautiful food to eat, or people to treat, or vacations to take? Sure, money is a tool. Yeah, it takes all of the pieces for the world to work and to come together. And so, I mean, I think I've lost my way to the question somehow. No. But yeah, it's just again, it's just always just the more we listen to that intuition, the more that we listen to all the signs and everything, the quieter the outside noise becomes. And you just see it for what it is. And you see other people performing to try to get their needs met. And it's not in a judgmental way, but in a oh, if they only knew. If they only knew how good they would feel right now, if they would stop chasing that thing that's not meant for them, and just trust and relax into the flow and let the flow lead them where they're supposed to be. Because the things that we could create, and that's the fun thing about manifestation, is that like okay, I want this house in this neighborhood and I want this job or this thing, and we can create that. We have the ability to create whatever we want. But when we kind of surrender to the unknown and surrender to the divine it's within us, it can see so much more than us.
Yeah.
There's a much broader perspective. And that's what I often call that higher self, is my broader perspective. Because it sees so much more than just Melissa can see. And when I turned over to that and just been like, okay, I'm just going to follow the nudges. I'm just going to follow the signs and completely like live into this. Then it leads me into relationships, into opportunities, into service that is beyond anything I could have imagined, because our imagination is based on what we know.
So true.
But our soul knows so much more and has so much more in store for us. And we can get really attached to an outcome or like a desire or a person, and it's got to be this person, or it's not going to feel good, or nothing's going to go my way. But when we can learn to sit in that temporary discomfort of letting the human be disappointed and surrender to the higher knowing that there's a greater source of everything, of information, of knowledge, of wisdom, of joy, of love, of abundance, and we can surrender to that and let it lead us,
have faith,
then it's so much better. It's so much better than anything that you've created out of a human desire.
Totally. I love that. That reminds me, I used to live in Boston, and there's a place called the Garden. And the Garden is an arena where they, I went to a Celtics game there, but, they have different events there. And at the Garden, right across the street, there's like a 30-something story building, right? And so when you're in the building and say you walk out and you're trying to find your way back to your car or to some location, when you walk out from the ground level, all you can see is what's in front of you or what's on either side. But with that, there are so many moving people around you. Even that point of view is kind of obscured, or it can be confusing. You don't have a clear line of sight. And there was a time where I had the privilege of being at an event where it was held in one of those higher level lofts across the street. And it was on like the 20-something floor. So now when the event let out that I wasn't attending, this time I have a different point of view, because now I'm higher elevation, literally. When I see people walking out, not only can I see the four directions that people can go, but I can see way further ahead of them than they could see from that ground level perspective. I can see the stoplights. I can see the cars around them, different buildings and businesses, so much more. And so it reminds me of that. If you kind of surrender and let go and let that divine elevated power work for you, work with you towards the desires of your heart, and not be committed to one single path to get there, you'd be surprised what you don't know is available that aligns, vibrates with you, different frequencies. But sometimes we do get distracted with what's in front of us instead of what's all around us.
Yeah, that's a really, really beautiful example. And I'm going to add to that because it's just so spot on. It's like thinking, okay, so you're leaving that bottom floor garage and you're like, okay, I see pizza over there and I want to go get pizza. But over on this other street, there's like a fine dining restaurant that's giving away meals for free, and you go and it's full of like people that you've always wanted to meet and all of these cool opportunities. But if you're so zeroed in on going to get that pizza, you're going to miss this other opportunity. That's what you were saying earlier.
Exactly.
Like moving away from your abundance. So yeah, when we tap into that higher perspective that's available to all of us, it's there. It's waiting for us. It's begging for us to tune in because it wants to see us in our highest joy and our highest fulfillment, and fully self-expressed. That's what it's about. We came to be this one person. Trying to be somebody else is just missing the mark, because we're the only people that get to be us. Like, I'm the only person that gets to be Melissa.
Yes.
And you're the only person that gets to be Aviella.
And
like,
I love her.
Right. So it's like, I don't want to rob the world of whatever Melissa's supposed to be bringing to it. And I don't want to rob Melissa of whatever she gets to be fully self-expressed into, because that is automatically going to be the highest expression. Like, there's no other one that's going to beat that, because my soul knew before it came into this life what was available and what it wanted to experience.
Yes.
And so it's not like this, I think that there could be a lot of dogma in this, like, there is this divine creator that has a plan and we have to follow the plan. No, it's a co-creation.
Yes.
Like, it's our choice. Like, it's what we want. Living in purpose and living in alignment with our purpose, it's what we want, even if we don't know it, because it's so much bigger and brighter and beautiful than what our minds have perceived so far.
Totally. And it's been told to me from different people over the years, there are people in the world that are waiting for you to show up.
Yes.
To unlock something in them. Some people need to see it to believe it. So when you show up and you operate in your being, you never know who's watching you. Absolutely. And by you doing that, you give them permission to do the same. I know they have, have you ever heard that Invictus poem or something? I think it's called.
I'm not sure.
Something about our deepest fears are not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fears are that we are powerful beyond measure.
Yes.
And I don't know the whole thing. It's very powerful, but it's basically saying by you showing up in your power, you give other people permission to do the same. Children are watching. Their personalities, their fears are all shaped by their environment, who they see, what they hear. People are waiting on you to show up.
Absolutely. And there's some things, you could say, oh, somebody's already said this thing. And I had that problem for a long time. I held myself back on the messages that were coming through me because I had heard them before. For one thing, I'm very deeply in the personal development world. So, not realizing that just because I've heard it doesn't mean that everyone has.
Yes.
But also I've noticed I can hear the same message from multiple people, but it doesn't hit until I hear it from a specific person.
That's right.
So there are people that need to hear things in your voice. There are people that need to see you, just like what you're saying.
That vibration, that frequency, that you have an energy signature, and you just, like you said, you can't hear it from everybody. They could say the same thing. It's kind of like your parents. How many times do your parents tell you this, that, and the third? You're like, whatever. Okay. Right. But then you go to school and you hear one of your peers saying it, and you're like, oh. Or you see something on TV and you're like, oh. Exactly. I guess my mom told me that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to receive it, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Melissa. For those that are listening to us now, if they wanted to have a practice or something they could do to kind of prepare themselves to be aligned with their souls, or prepare themselves to be open to intuitive divine inspiration, what would you tell them to do? How could they position themselves or open themselves to receive this divine intuition, to tap into the clairs? Could you give us a practical tip or two?
Yes, absolutely. Because we're all at a different starting point and we all have a different destination. So there isn't just one uniform follow this, meditation or whatever. It's going to be different for everyone. For me, meditation sometimes is sitting in silence. Sometimes it's going for a walk in nature and paying attention to every little thing that I see, or sometimes it's tuning into my senses. So it could be different for everyone. But I know you like to reference scripture a lot, and it's
in me.
It's asking you shall receive. And so I tell people that if you don't know where to begin, ask. You have so many guides around you waiting to tell you. Just waiting for you to listen. Oh, you asked. Yay. Yes. We've been waiting for this moment. Yep. And they're going to give you information. And the thing is if it comes from your mind, and when you really tune into your thoughts and the messages, I don't know about you. I know that I I feel experience them in different places in my body. When it's coming from my mind, it's coming from my head. I know that it's coming from my head. When it's coming from my heart, I feel it coming from my heart. If it's coming from your head, it's likely not the answer. The first thing that comes to you, ask, okay, higher self, divine spirit, whatever it is that you believe it could connect to.
Jesus, Lord, God, Father.
Yeah, Jesus is rad. Like, you know, whatever.
Totally.
Whatever you...
Give him props, girl.
I love me some Jesus. Totally. Like you, I'm not religious, but I do, you know, Jesus is great.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of valuable messages that came from him. Living as his authentic self, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And
but you're saying ask.
Yeah, just ask. And, you know, what is my next step? What is the first step for me to be able to connect to this part of myself? And ironically, that is the first step. Like, but as soon as you ask and then tune in, and whatever comes first, that's your answer. Just listen. Whether it comes in a vision, whether you see a flash of a vision, whether you hear like in that still small voice and that like, or whether you see it in your mind's eye, or whether you feel something, like whatever comes to you first is your answer. Go there. And then just follow the stepping stones. Just keep asking, keep tuning into that self, because that's the answer. Just keep tuning into your own divine guidance, and it will lead you there. For me, it's looked like a lot of things. I've done some very deep therapy, like trauma therapy. I had to really uncover. I grew up in a very high control religion and evangelicalism, and I had to deconstruct all of the programming to get to the parts that still align with me and feel good, like Jesus. Love me some Jesus. Never going to set foot back into a Pentecostal church again, but I love me some Jesus, you know, like discovering the parts, like uncovering what's not you. The more you do that, the more what is you can just like breathe and expand. And, you know, it's just like in your garden, if you got a bunch of grime and gunk on top, like when you start removing that stuff, then the sprouts can start to get light and air, and they'll just get bigger and grow bigger and grow bigger. And that's what it is, uncovering what's not you and tuning into what is. And that path's going to be different for everyone. And that's what, like I said, my work is to get people back to themselves. I'm not going to give you a roadmap of what to do because it's my roadmap. That works for me, but you're an entirely different person, right? So getting people back into just listening to yourself. Just listen. Trust that. Everybody's getting messages. A lot of people just don't know what it is, or they don't trust it, or they don't believe it. That's one thing I love about talking about my intuition and the clairs, is because the more I do, the more people are like, oh, I have that. I didn't know that's what that was. Yeah. You know? And it's that permission slip, like you mentioned before. It's just giving people permission to lean into it, to trust it.
And not ignore it.
Right.
My mind is like, how you mentioned scripture, I'm like, yeah, it reminds me of the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. You're like, he makes me lie down in green pastures, and he leads me, that's guidance, beside the still water. He's restoring my soul, right? So making sure I'm okay. He's leading me in the path of righteousness for his name. So even if I walk through crazy stuff that makes me scared, you know, death, I don't have to fear because I have help. God's with me, right? And I'm like, whoa, you just gave it a different dimension for me, you know, kind of like a different real world application of it. But I get excited, like, because the more that I get into understanding, like, kingdom wealth, the 7 dimensions of wealth, alignment, purpose, stewardship, you know, legacy, you know, what I want to be known for, you know, when somebody thinks of me, what comes up? It's like, oh my gosh, there's so many signs that point at the same thing that I come into contact with all the time, and I may not be paying attention. So I have a question for you, Melissa.
Okay.
What do you want to be known for?
Wow, that's a good question. I feel like I've set aside so much of that attachment to any specific outcome that if I just want to be known for being myself. I want anyone who's come in contact with me and had relationship with me or experienced my voice from whatever, you know, whether it's from YouTube or from the radio or from whatever different place, to be like, that's what real looks like. Now that I know what it looks like, I can do that too. Like,
she's real.
Yeah, she's real.
She's real. Melissa, I know her. She is so real.
She's so real.
Yeah, I like her so much. No, I love that. So, oh my gosh, we are winding down on time. I'm hoping that today's conversation reminds us all that wealth is not only something that we build, right? Around us, because people think about money. So what you spend money on, these are things you put around you, the people that are around you, the car, the experiences. It's not just about what we put around us. It's something we remember within us, who we are.
It's an embodiment
Of how we serve.
Absolutely.
I am enough. Everything that I have is working towards my greater good and to the good of others.
I'm worthy because I exist.
I am my sister's keeper.
Yes.
Yes. I'm a good person. Sometimes depending on what social media you're looking at or whatever you're allowing to come into your thought process, your psyche, can get you to having stinking thinking about yourself, right?
Yeah, totally.
And it's crazy. My husband is calling right now. That's so funny. But I think the underlining theme is when our creativity, our authentic self, connects or reconnects us with identity, meaning I didn't come here to be you. You didn't come here to be me. We connect with our identity, and honor that and feel good about that, and preserve that.
Yeah.
Protection and preservation, that is important. When that happens, our responsibility becomes clearer.
Yeah.
Our path becomes clearer. Our decisions become stronger. And our communities become more grounded.
Yeah. I love that. That's so true.
Right?
I try to wake up every morning and just, I know that I have the responsibility to be Melissa as I can be.
As Melissa as you can be.
And so I just wake up in the morning and I ask, how can I care for my human today? How can I let Melissa be her fullest self today? And I think if we're all doing that, then like you said, the community care, it's all there because that's our natural expression, is to care for one another. When we're honoring ourselves, we can honor the individuality and the beauty and the light in the people around us.
That's right.
Yeah.
So a light in me, Melissa's honors the light in you. Thank you so, so much for taking time and space to come and share with us. What would you want to leave as a lasting impression for our listeners before we go?
There's some part of you that's always telling you that there's something more, that you're meant for something greater, that there's something bigger inside of you that wants to be expressed. For once, you've tried all the other stuff, just try giving that piece of you a voice. And letting it shine and see what happens.
I love that. You're creating vulnerability energy. I can feel that. What are you doing? The Clairs are in the building.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been such a pleasure.
Yeah, you're awesome. I love that you're here, and I'm so happy and grateful now for your contribution to today's conversation. Well, everybody, this has been a wonderful, wonderful exchange with Melissa. Melissa, how do people contact with you if they want to learn more about you? Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. It's Diary of an Authentic Life. The handle is at authentically Melly, MELI. You can find me there or at my website, Alau, ALAU. It's for the alchemyofauthenticity.com. You can find me on social media, same handle, Authentically Melly. I'm all over the place. Reach out. I'd love to hear from you.
Authentically Melly, Aviella Aloha, student of Wealth Radio Hour. Thank you so much for tapping in with us. May the Lord bless you and keep you and give you peace. Aloha.